Mangueira, tira a poeira dos porões ou abre alas dos teus heróis de barracões. No Brasil que se faz um país de esses jabelões. São perigosas multidões. Mangueira, tira a poeira dos porões ou abre alas dos teus heróis de barracões. No Brasil que se faz um país de esses jabelões. Brasil, meu nego, deixa eu te contar a história que a história não conta. O avesso do mesmo lugar, na luta que a gente se encontra.
Hello, my name is André Rangel Nunes. I'm talking straight from the Museum of Samba, or Museu do Samba, in Mangueira, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. This is a place that has the responsibility and the ancestral responsibility of keeping the memory of samba. And most important, the samba schools that do the parade in Rio's Carnival. The proposal for this conference is to make a link, to make a connection between what is shown by the samba schools in the avenue and the Diopian studies, bringing the African culture back to its origins. We call it nowadays African Renaissance. We have no reason to be ashamed of our past. What happened to us is that now we live in a dark age. The dark age of Africa began when the first colonizers set foot on it. And the first colonizers were exactly the Greeks and the Romans. The Ptolemaic, they invaded Egypt under the allegedly liberation from the Persians. We can see that civilization itself and all the science that we know were born in Africa. Mathematics, architecture, engineering, laws, everything. Biology, chemistry, everything was born in Africa. It's the greatest spectacle on earth. These are just simple examples of the kind of art that our people from Africa were able to do here in Brazil, even though subject to slavery and submission. These two people surrounding me, a Cartola over here. He's the founding father of Mangueira, the Samba School. And this is his wife, Zika. She was also a great matriarch of Mangueira. Cartola was the founding father of Mangueira. And here we are him in a table bar where you used to drink a beer, to drink a coffee, etc., and socialize with friends. This is the typical and archetypical place in the favelas and morros where all the great samba schools were born. The first samba school was in Cima da Hora, in Estácio. But Mangueira was also one of the first of the elder schools ever to exist, and one of the most important till nowadays. And what does the samba schools bring to us from Afrocentrality, from the values of Africa. The samba itself, before even the samba schools, was the great way that black people in Brazil found to preserve ancestrality and culture. Samba, in a Bantu language, means to belly with someone. It's the dance that we call also umbigada in Brazil. This dance originated a whole lot of other rhythms and also mesclated a whole lot of rhythms from Brazil, and most of them from Africa, that spread over Brazil, and which became what we nowadays know as samba, which has a lot of subgenres, such as rock and roll has a lot of subgenres, since from classical rock and heavy metal. The samba has, even from samba de roda, or the traditional samba, to the partido alto, or bossa nova, or samba de quadra, or even the samba of escola de samba, samba school samba. Those are all different ways of making samba. And in the samba school, you learn all of it, because it is all over there. But alongside all of it, you have other rhythms that also maintain the culture, the black culture, the African culture live in Brazil. You can call maracatu, jongo, afoxés, and the new rhythms such as samba reggae, samba duro, and other styles. And what's the importance of this? Because they always valued where they came from. All those cultural manifestations were preserving the traditions from Africa. Capoeira is also a dance, is also music, and is also a way to fight. It's a lifestyle to live. Capoeira was the greatest point of resistance against slavery in Brazil, and against submission after the abolition of slavery in Brazil also. But samba was always connected to its roots, to jongo, to maracatu, to capoeira, etc., because it knows the value. So what does the samba, where in samba connects with the African Renaissance studies? In the middle of the 20th century, those studies began to gain echo. Even here in Brazil, everywhere in the world, it was taught and talked over what was the origin of Africa, where it does came from, what we did in our past, that we also had a glorious past, as the Indians had, as the Chinese and the European. Africa was also a great place of rich culture, of rich science, of rich everything. And samba schools began to reconnect with this scientific data that was given now to us. So, in the middle of the 20th century, the sambas began to explore that history, to go and search for it. We can see a lot of parades that were exalting our past and thus constructing a new future, because that's the importance of knowing our history, and to show the people that live in the favela, the people that live in the periphery, that they came from a glorious past, They were not always slaves. And not even their realness, the royalty, was somehow less or minor than European royalty. On the contrary, the Samba school taught us that Africa was, if not equal, in some places even superior in technology, in science, in arts, than Europe itself. When Frobenius came to Africa, he said that the Africans were they were civilized to the bone. They were very civilized. And that civilization we can now show in the parades by the Samba schools. And this legacy is very important to be carried on. So, what the Samba schools have taught us. Also, the Bantu civilization has a very important significance in the construction of a new perspective over our past. When you go back to the history of Dinga in Angola, taught by Vila Isabel in 2012, if my memory doesn't fail, and other many times. And also when we go and tell the history of not a so distant past, but early past, from Chico Rei in Minas Gerais, or over other civilizations along Africa. This, in my opinion, is what makes the schools of Samba, the Samba schools, very important and very well connected to this movement of African Renaissance. We are now in the front to begin and to thrive as a people all over the globe, as African people, as African peoples everywhere. And what was shown this year of 2012, what was shown this year of 2022 in the parades of Samba school was history for our people. Exu, the Lord of the Crossroads, won the Samba parade. This is very significant because Exu is very demonizing in Brazil and even in other countries, even in Nigeria, where the Yoruba people came from, or still live over there. And now we had to see the whole Brazilian people reverence Exu as the king of Carnival. And this has some great significance. When we enter the Museum of Samba, you could see in the middle Exu, sided by Oxum in his right side and Oxóssi in his left side. And this is also the significance and importance that the schools of Samba brings to what is African culture. And the importance that African culture brought by the Samba school had to the Renaissance of Africa. This is my participation, this is my collaboration. I hope you all had enjoyed and learned and that I could share a little, that's the Samba school contribution to the African Renaissance, to all of you over there. Thank you very much. See.
Quem me chamou? Chegou a hora, não dá mais pra segurar. Quem me chamou? Chamou pra sambar. Não mexe comigo, eu sou a menina de Oiarro.